thank you so much for coming to our major event. We hear from our alumni as the panelists. I'd like to first let you know the names and titles of all of our alumni before we begin with our keynote speaker. And once our keynote speaker wraps up, then we'll have some questions for our alumni panelists, okay? All right, so our keynote is Frank Spellman, and he's a program analyst for the NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts Program at NASA, which headquarters in Washington, D.C., and he's a class of 2020. And our panelists that we have, right here to my right, we have Sheetal George. She's SharePoint Collaboration and Web Specialist, class of 2021. Next to Sheetal, we have Basil Udo. He's the CEO of ZETI, class of 2022. Next to Basil, we have Casey Hanley, who is a section supervisor for cybersecurity in the space systems sector of Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab, class of 2024. Next to Casey, we have Jeanette Gibbs, Senior Vice President of Ambulatory Services and Value-Based Care at the University of Maryland Medical Center, class of 1997. And next to Jeanette, we have Nana O'Malley, who's a nursing professor at Towson University, class of 1994. So, if you will all please pay attention to our keynote speaker, Mr. Frank Spellman. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, give me a moment to get this up and running here. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Dan, for inviting me to be here. This is an amazing opportunity. This is my first time being back on campus since, well, I wouldn't say I graduated on campus. I graduated in my apartment, but it was in the middle of quarantine. This is a really cool experience to leave sort of like in the middle of exams and stuff and come back, invited to speak to you as if my advice means anything, which it might to you. But again, my name is Frank Spellman. I graduated in the spring of 2020 with a BA in economics. And I currently am a space technology program analyst at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. So if I understood the assignment correctly, which I think I did, is to tell you how I got from this point here on the left to this point here on the right. Same guy, two different experiences. Those three yellow arrows, a lot happened in between those yellow arrows. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. So I want to start off by saying when I got here, well, you know what, before I got here, I thought life was supposed to be like how it was on the top. I had a plan, I had a goal, a general idea of how to reach it. That's not the case. Turns out life is actually like what you see on the bottom. There are tons of challenges, goals, obstacles that you may face that you're unaware of, that you have to be prepared to face head on and overcome. And that, I would think, is the general theme of what I want to talk about today. So keep this picture in mind. A lot of what I say is reflected in this bottom photo, not literally but figuratively, whether it be a moat or a thunderstorm. Okay, so prior to getting here in 2016, I basically had a failed career in marketing and advertising. I'd already had an undergraduate degree, but I didn't like my job, didn't know what I was doing in my life, and decided to just quit and call it. And I became a bar back at a beer garden in Washington, D.C. And that quickly, came to an end. Not quickly, it was about a year, but I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do for my career. It didn't match my lifestyle. And at the time, I found myself daydreaming about technologies, space, exploration, things that I found really cool, nerdy, unique, and interesting. And I needed to do something about it, so I went back to school. I came to UMBC to pursue an engineering degree in 2016. I moved to Fed Hill and became an oyster shucker at a place called Riley's Oyster House while going to school. I didn't know anything about oysters, but I found out a lot quickly. Big fan. Would go to Riley's again if I was in the area. Highly recommend it. While I was there, I would do homework on the bar top. It was a chalkboard, and I would be sitting there doing physics, chemistry, all kinds of stuff. Did it help me? Turns out not so much. It was very difficult for me to get into engineering. At this point, my math, my physics, my chemistry was rusty. I don't know that I had the stamina, to stick it out and go with it. I tried mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, computer engineering, and none of it seemed to be working out for me. It was just super, super hard. I couldn't understand why. And so I had to ask myself, why again am I here finding myself confused and lost with no direction? I don't know what to do. I thought I knew what to do, but it wasn't working out. Where do I go from here, right? Through a family friend, I was very lucky to be able to meet with Dr. Freeman Rabowski, who many of you may know, who retired recently, was previously the president of UMBC. This is a picture of us, with me figuring my life out. He sat down with me, looked at my experience. He said, "You don't seem like an engineer. I get that you like science, technology, and all that kind of stuff, but you just don't seem like an engineer. You ever thought about working with them, managing them, anything like that?" I was like, "Absolutely not. What do you mean? What is that even? What is that? Who does that?" I said, "You know what? I'm going to hook you up with Ken Barron. He's going to sit you down and get you there." So set up a meeting with Dr. Barron, who looked at my experience and said, "I think I know an academic plan that will set you up for graduating and towards a career that you might want, that you think is more appropriate for what you want to do and the skills that you have." So while I was going through that plan, it was economics, a major in economics. Amazing. Many economics majors, people that are in here thinking about economics, I would highly recommend doing that. Please feel free to talk to me about that at some point. But while I was in school, had a few jobs here. I worked as a student dispatcher for UMBC Transit, so I spent a lot of time down there in the parking lot, with the folks in the buses, making sure the routes were on time, all that kind of stuff. Listening to angry students call me, "Where's the bus?" I don't know, but that was one of my many experiences while being a student here. I also worked there was an opportunity that was presented to me by the school, the Career Center actually, called the Baltimore Electric Vehicle Initiative. And I'd say this is my first foray into where I am now. This really was the first major stepping stone. This was a partnership between the school and the Maryland Department of Transportation to conduct research, high-level general research about electric vehicles and what it might mean for the state of Maryland. So I did that over the summer here with a gentleman named Stephen McAlpine, who I believe might still be around. After that, I got an internship at the USDA, something called the Foreign Agriculture Service, the UTEC division. So we were basically in control of exports, selling our foods and stuff to other countries, while also convincing them that it was safe, beneficial for their country, etc. So that was another interesting experience I had while here at UMBC. You can see here a slight trend. Maybe it's unclear to you guys. It's easy for me to see, I guess I should say, and that it led me to a career in Washington, D.C., something that I didn't think was possible or that I had a business doing. When I got to the USDA, I started at the state level with Betty. The state levels, looking at the state government. I then got to USDA, the federal level, and I'm like, wow, there's all this infrastructure here. I'm from the area. I thought it was just museums and monuments and annoying tourists. Turns out a lot of people work there and have their careers there, and I started to realize what was available to me, and started exploring that arena. That is when I found out about this place called the Commercial Spaceflight Federation. This to me didn't mean anything to me at the time. Turns out it was the most important place I've worked so far. I applied for an internship here 3 times and only got it on my 3rd time. So perseverance is something I think I want to instill in you guys. Just because you don't get a job or an opportunity, or something doesn't go your way initially, doesn't mean that it won't eventually. And this certainly was the case for me. The Commercial Spaceflight Federation is essentially a trade association, some might call it a lobbying firm, for companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, commercial companies in space, not NASA. These are privately held companies that some might say compete with NASA. I'm not going to debate that here, but so I got incredible exposure at this point. And so now you see me going to the federal level, to the private industry, and it's space flight. And I'm like, this is getting towards what I want to do. Still, while I was there, I didn't know what to do. I have a degree in economics, I'm about to graduate. This is actually my spring semester. This is the fall semester of 2020 that I had this internship. So still not sure. I had this amazing job, but I wasn't an engineer, so what business do I have working in the space industry at this point? I thought none. Others thought otherwise. A coworker here sent me a job from a company called Bryce Tech. Now, I am a contractor. I work at NASA. I have a NASA computer, a desk, a badge, all that cool stuff. Feed me into the headquarters, any NASA center. But I'm a contractor. What I didn't know is that not everybody that works for the government is a government employee. There are contractors, and that's a lot of folks. And those opportunities are not necessarily listed by the government. So that was sort of like a hidden trick that I found. A lot of these opportunities and jobs that I was a fit for, I didn't know where to look. Luckily, I had a coworker who sent it to me, and I interviewed and got the job. And this was at this point spring 2020, and I'm working to graduate. And right, so go into quarantine. Didn't see my coworkers. Didn't see a lot of my co-students for a long time. Didn't see my coworkers for a long time. But this was the job that I have now. This is the same job I had when I graduated. I'm still there. I could not speak, highly enough of UMBC and getting into this place, but also of this company, Bryce Tech, that I am a contractor for, with my client being NASA. I should add, Sheetal, I don't know if you remember me, but I didn't see you since we had a couple classes together with Professor Dust, things like statistics and whatnot, but nice to see you, I should add. So let me talk briefly about NASA if you're unaware. Everybody thinks that when I say I work at NASA, I work at Goddard Space Flight Center, which is out here, which is another reason why I went here, because there's a lot of really good engineers that come through UMBC and go to NASA. That didn't turn out to be my path. Turns out all of NASA is managed through headquarters in Washington, D.C., which is where I work. So all these centers and support centers you see all over the country, yes, they're relatively independent, have management at the centers, but we manage them, from a oversight perspective, funding perspective, from headquarters in Washington, D.C. And I work for a group called the Space Technology Mission Directorate, STMD. There's other mission directorates, Science Mission Directorate, Heliophysics, Exploration Systems, Human Exploration Operations. I work for the directorate that builds things, stuff, technology for astronauts, people, scientists, teachers, schools, anybody to use. We develop, research, and build the technology. I work for 3 programs in STMD. Primarily, I spend most of my time on the top one, and I'll talk mostly about that. That's the NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts Program, NIAC. It's where we explore science fiction ideas, things that people think are impossible. Like putting humans to sleep, sending them into deep space, waking them up 1,000 years later. Mining for water on the moon, going to other solar systems, finding alien life, and interacting with them, communicating with them safely, I should add. You name it, we do it. If it's never been thought of before, we'll look at it, determine if we can do it, and we'll fund it, move forward, and develop the technology needed to help whatever mission is necessary that technology endears. The other 2 programs are basically an internal, so I should say the top one is open to anybody in the country, including everybody here. You can apply to this program and we'll fund you if your idea is cool enough, I'll say. The other 2 is the Center Innovation Fund and the Early Career Initiative. Those are based at the centers. Those are basically just technology development and people development at the NASA centers themselves. The Early Career Initiative is very interesting because I, being an early career myself, and sort of managing early career staff members at centers, engineers, PIs, while myself being early career. So that's a unique experience to be able to go through that with them. So I want to play this video, hopefully it works, and this will give you an idea of what I do every day.
Science fiction shows us the incredible potential of innovation. Sci-fi dares to defy what is possible. And NASA helps make it a reality.
NASA dares to make the impossible possible. That's only because the innovators, thinkers, and doers who are helping us imagine and prepare for the future of our space exploration are the wizards working on this NIAC program.
The NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts Program enables across the country to test the concepts that could change science fiction to science fact. NIAC studies revolutionary concepts to figure out how to gain new capabilities and enable missions that are either impossible or too costly today.
NIAC is essential to the future of space. We reach out to those who are captivated by big ideas in that never-ending pursuit of what's possible.
NIAC funds technically credible, visionary space and science concepts from diverse and non-traditional sources, both inside and outside of NASA.
The NIAC program helps give these forward-thinking scientists and engineers the tools and the support they need to spur technology that helps future NASA missions.
NIAC will boldly transform the future and extend the boundaries of what's possible to help NASA write the next chapter of space exploration.
Right, so you'll see that in the end, I ended up getting to where I wanted to be, but a different path. I wanted to do all this stuff as an engineer. I ended up doing it as an economist, a manager, a program manager, a policy expert. And that's all that to say is remember that picture I showed you? There's different ways to get to where you want to go. I took the hard route, I guess, a route that was unexpected, but I still ended up doing what I wanted to do. Not everybody gets to say that. And I'll go through some things at the end that I think highlight how I got there for me personally. But these are just some more cool show and tell that I thought I wanted to show everybody. I have like the coolest job ever, if that wasn't obvious. So these are pictures of things like the Curiosity rover, people working in the clean rooms at the Jet Propulsion Lab, me at headquarters. I'm holding a blade there that's going to be on a helicopter that goes to Mars, the next generation. And the International Space Station Natural Buoyancy Lab, which is underwater there. It's a full-scale mock-up of the International Space Station, it's just underwater. So we got to see some astronauts dive. This is also a brick that is grown on the moon or on Mars and can be used for construction in space. So for show and tell, people can come up and grab it, do whatever you want to it, but eat it. So I thought I'd bring that and share with you guys a little bit of what I do, just some cool images and whatnot. So let's get to the distillation of this whole presentation, in a sense. These are 4 key takeaways that I don't know that I'd be able to even describe fully what they, how I can convey how important they are to you in my mind, but I'll do my best. One is get a job. Just work, get something, right? Of course you gotta make money to spend money, whatever. Your parents want you to get a job, it's important. But it's also important to understand what it's like to be in the workforce, to be part of an organization with people that work in it with you. Sometimes they work under you, sometimes they work with you, sometimes they work above you. It's important to learn soon what that's like. And also, the more job experiences you have, the more you know what you like and don't like in a job, in a career. What you might want to do, what you know you don't want to do. And I found that to be useful for me. I had a ton of jobs, learned almost exclusively what I don't want to do, but that led to narrowing what I want to do, narrowing the vision for me in the future, what I want to do. And so that's just another way to say, like, get involved. There's a ton of jobs on campus. If it's not a job, get involved like a student organization. I was part of the Solar Retrievers at the time, helped with the solar panel that you see on some of the tables here. Get involved would be another way to say this. Be flexible. Bend, don't break. Be able to adapt to any situation that comes your way with grace. Things will be difficult, things will be challenging, but you'll never be defeated. Be flexible. Be open. Be willing to have new experiences. Be willing to talk to somebody new. And more importantly, be willing to ask questions. If you don't ask, you won't find out. You won't know. If you're curious, if you want to know something, look into it, explore it. Don't let the thought come and go. Spend some time thinking about that thought, what you thought, why you thought it, And if you want to explore that thought further, a lot of times that will take you down paths that, or open up doors that weren't previously open, or paths you never thought you might explore. And that's kind of what happened to me. I was open to new experiences, and I was open to different types of jobs. And you'll never know how other people view that from a third person perspective. That is, that person's curious. They're willing to learn. They want to know more. This is a good trait. This is somebody that wants to better themselves, that cares. So always ask questions, and always remember there's no such thing as a stupid question. There is never. That's impossible. There's no such thing as a stupid question. If there are, I've asked them all, and nobody ever considered them dumb. Just be curious, ask questions. Take advantage of this place. I didn't even know when I got here what this place had. I mean, career services, the career fair, the teachers are amazing. Let me say that. The academic programs are phenomenal. The coursework is amazing. I had an undergraduate degree before my second undergraduate degree, and it wasn't even close. This was such a phenomenal experience. Take advantage of what the school has here. You're doing so by being here right now. Continue to do this. Continue to want to come to these things. Look, open your email. Open the event invite that comes in your inbox. Take advantage of what this place has to offer, because you might not realize it until you're gone what is here for you. UMBC cares about you. It cares about the students. It cares about the success of the students while they're here. It cares about the success of their students after they're here. Please, please, please take advantage of this place. It is phenomenal. With that said, shout out to my girlfriend Leah, my dog Ajax, and Ad Astra to the stars. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so now we get to hear from our panelists, our alumni panelists. And just remember, these people that are sitting here as your panelists, they sat where you were, okay? These are graduates of UMBC. They know what it takes to do well. So the first question I'll ask, and I'll ask this question of Nana.
I sat here for a reason. The last person.
No, there's no order, so it's just gonna be like whoever I feel like calling on. How did your UMBC education and experience impact what you're doing now, like career, activities, friends, etc.?
Okay, I would say it impacted me because UMBC was a foundation for me. My story is not like everybody else's story. I came from a school that pretty much was the worst school in BGF. So I was not prepared for school at all. And UMBC gave me that chance to come here. I think back in the day, they definitely did holistic, because if they saw my application today, they would throw it in the trash. But I would say it impacted me because when I got here, I had a sense of family. And when I say a sense of family, I still have friends today. Boom, boom, from 30 years ago that I kept with me. Also, I had experiences where I actually worked here in this building. I was a building manager, okay, big building manager. And that's an experience in itself, because I learned how to delegate, how to manage my time, things like that. So I would say I had a good experience here.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to ask the same question to Faisal. How did your UMBC education and experience impact what you're doing now, career, activities, friends, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first and foremost, everyone, thank you for your time. My name is Fasilito, and yeah, I hope what I have to share here is valuable or helps you in some way. But just to answer your question, I think that when it comes to my experience here, it was super impactful to what I do today. If I could share a brief example, when I thought was my last year here, when I was here, I didn't do so hot in Biochem 2. So and if any of you guys are science majors, you might know that you can only take that in the spring. So that summer, right, I was just contemplating whether or not to take the fall semester, because I only needed that to graduate. And at the time I was working on this concept. What I'm doing today, which is ZETI, was just a concept back then. But I was really just trying to figure out what to do next. And I remember writing about it in my journal, just a question, what am I going to do this fall? And I ended up taking classes, and I took Entrepreneurship 200 with Scott Weber. And because I was spending so much time like putting together the concept for ZETI, I put an elevator pitch together. So when on the first day, Scott asked, is anyone working on anything? I workshopped it with him, and I was really eager to hear his thoughts. And he set up a follow-up conversation with me, and then he connected me to Kevin Fulmer, who is the entrepreneurship director here on campus. And he got me tapped into resources like the pitch competition and also the research part of BW Tech, which is actually where ZETI's incubated today. So it's sort of like a full circle thing. You know, one decision can really lead to where you are a couple years later.
All right. So this next question is for Casey. Did you know what you wanted your major to be when you arrived at UMBC?
Yeah, so I had a sort of unique experience where I was a returning student. So I did know I wanted to do computer science, but this is after a mechanical engineering degree. So the point is really, no, I had no idea when I was where most of you are now what I wanted to do. And to put a little bit of, I guess, maybe more clarity on that, I thought I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, and I still like it, right? But as time went on and time passed, I realized how important it is to be a lifelong learner. And computer science scared me. So I said, you know what, I can sit here and I can be scared of technology and not understand how computers work, or I can dive in and take this on. And so I saw that opportunity, and I was really excited to have that opportunity here at UMBC, and was able to complete that degree. So.
And same question for Shito. Did you know what you wanted your major to be when you arrived at UMBC?
So when I first arrived at UMBC, prior to starting undergrad, I thought that I wanted to do pre-nursing. But after sitting down with some mentors and asking questions about different fields that I was interested in exploring, kind of like Casey mentioned, I was drawn towards IT because of the lifelong learning aspect of it. Because with IT, you're always learning something new and everything's changing all the time. So that was one aspect of IT that I decided that I wanted to learn more about, and decided to eventually pursue IT as my career. So when I first came, I thought I wanted to pursue something else, but after asking more questions and learning more about different fields, I came to another decision of pursuing IT instead.
Okay. Next question is for Jeanette. What motivated you to pursue your current career path? Were you always following this path? And if not, what inspired the change?
So I'm actually going to reach back and start a little bit before that. So when I was in middle school, I started working in healthcare. Literally, I worked in a nursing home, and ever since I've never worked anywhere else but in a healthcare environment. So it was a calling for me. So did I know where I wanted to be today? I think I thought I wanted to be in direct patient care. But what happened along the way? I started at UMBC in pre-med, and then changed to pre-physical therapy, and then changed to psychology. Graduated with my degree in psychology. So if you have to change a couple times, it's okay. It really is okay. And then I realized as I was working at different hospitals while I was a student here, I realized that administration was my thing. I was really good at bossing people around. And to explain my title a little bit, what I do is I am in charge of all of our doctors' offices for the University of Maryland Medical Center. And so I boss doctors around. Okay? And it has really helped UMBC through that time of just realizing what I was strong at. I was in student government here, so again, get involved. I realized that I was better as a leader. Although all of the experiences that I had that led up to working in direct patient care through college, and then led up to being in administration, it's helped me to be where I am today.
Thank you. The same question for, even though you answered it a little bit, but if you can talk a little more to Casey, what motivated you to pursue your current career path? Were you always following this path? If not, what inspired the change?
Yeah, so my background, I started the mechanical engineering degree, a doctorate in mechanical engineering. I started also with healthcare, so I worked first at the NIH doing clinical research, and then moved to the FDA, and worked there for about 9 years doing medical device regulation. So it was medical device innovation and engineering around medical devices. I eventually went to the applied physics lab, the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, and was working in healthcare there as well. I realized COVID kind of was like, so a lot of people went through COVID, had different experiences through COVID. For me, it was a realization that I was getting too comfortable. Like I needed to challenge myself. Things were a little more routine, a little bit more rote. And I didn't want to look back and feel like I missed an opportunity to really take something new on. So as I said previously, computers scare me. They don't anymore, but they did at the time. I was like, I want to know how these work. And I'm gonna regret not taking that opportunity to dive in and actually learn something new. So I did not know what I wanted to do other than do a new computer science degree when I started here. But my time here at UMBC, meeting with other students and hearing about some of the really renewed excitement around space really inspired me. And so a lot of that inspired where I ended up where I am now, which is in cybersecurity for space. So that's kind of how that came about. And it really was me having a general direction and then really, kind of meeting with people and getting to know people and getting excited about kind of the new frontier.
So I've got a follow-up question for you because I heard you say that you felt like you were getting a little too comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, human nature is we like to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So what would you tell our students who may be comfortable how to move past that? Because, that's where growth is, when you're moving past your comfort level, but we like to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So what would you encourage our students or tell our students about moving past that comfort?
Yeah, so I think it's start with, I really do think it's important that to fully live life for me, you have to do new things. If you do the same thing day in and day out, all the days start to run together, everything kind of becomes the same. So I actually started with, again, COVID, right? Everyone did a little something crazy. I created a list of all the crazy things I wanted to do, and I put them in a bag. And then every month I pull a new one out. So like, they were really ridiculous. Like one was read a book from every section of the Dewey Decimal System, right? Like just trying to do something. And like I hated half the book, like more than that, right? So it's like, just check it out and be like, well, that's stupid. And like, but let's try it, right? So it's really start small, like challenge yourself to say like, what can I do today to push myself a little bit? What can I do to do something new? You don't need to be extreme, but yeah, try something. Just think about that and think if this is resonating with you, think about like what small step can I do to do something that's pushing me today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna respond to that too. Yeah. Just because the advice that I give members of my team that are just starting out in our organization, after they've been through school or just starting getting their first job or whatever, I always tell them not to stay in their lane. And the reason why I advanced in my career so quickly is because I never stayed in my lane. I always volunteered for different committees, different projects, initiatives, and learned things about the entire organization that probably had nothing to do with my core job and my core responsibilities. But just getting that knowledge about everything and meeting people is what you should do. I am an introvert, actually, by nature. I prefer being in the corner somewhere. But I do a lot of talks. I do a lot of talks. I put myself out there, and that's what you should do too in order to get ahead.
Thank you. All right, so this next question we're going to ask Frank. I'm going to start with Frank. how did UMBC's resources or programs impact your college experience, like academic resources, extracurricular, co-curricular, study abroad, cyber, whatever?
Yeah, so I guess we'll start off. I told a little bit about my academic story. Like a lot of people here, I started off doing something, changed multiple times, and did something else. It was, I wouldn't have been able to do that without encouragement from the staff here to say, hey, it's okay to do that. It's okay to try something different. That's not going to derail your academic, path. It's not going to derail your career path either. And so it was really important to hear from people who really knew what they're talking about, to show me what they thought I should do academically. No matter what I thought, any preconceived notions I had about what classes I should take, they were throw it out the window. I didn't know. I'm not in this. That's not my career. There are people here whose career it is to help you with your academics. Take advantage of them. Listen to them. Exactly. And so that's one instance. I would say another. Campus jobs in general are really good because you can spend time on campus. You can sometimes do homework while working, and you can make money. And you get to know people around campus, and you get to become a part of the community, which is really important here. This is a different school than what a lot of people are used to. This is what a lot of people call a commuter school. A lot of people, sure, live here and whatnot, but a lot of people don't. So they don't spend all their time here. So it's important you get to seize the opportunity to meet people and learn from people. And so a good way to do that is by joining student organizations. I remember going to, I think it was a student organization fair, and it was almost overwhelming. There's so many groups. If there isn't a group for what you want to do, create one. Do it yourself. And the school will support you in doing that. And then career-wise, once I got really serious and the pressure was on, what do I want to do? How do I do it? There is always something going on to support your career. You can set up, advising sessions and get one-on-one advice, which I found to be unbelievably helpful. That was something to me that helped shape my path towards where I am now, insofar as it helped me prepare for interviews, prepare my resume, understand where to apply, where to look for jobs, what jobs are open. But then also, the Career Center brought people here. People want UMBC graduates at their companies. We, as UMBC alumni, are highly sought after folks, and I still see it at NASA. People talk about UMBC with respect where I work, which is at NASA. People want you. Understand that, realize that, help the school help you, and do that by reaching out and finding the resources and taking advantage of them.
Thank you. Same question for you, Shito. How did UMBC's resources or programs impact your college experience, like academic resources, extracurricular, et cetera?
Going off what Frank said, UMBC has so many resources for any stage, whether you're looking for an internship or whether you have an internship or are looking for other opportunities. There's always something that UMBC was providing to help you grow. Even having events like this, different career panels, or anything that interests you, there's always something going on to help you in that way. And from personal experience, I had a general interest in healthcare when I first started at UMBC, and I attended a career panel that was going on that was focused on healthcare. And through that career panel is where I was able to learn more about an internship opportunity, where I was able to work that summer and eventually help me grow in my career to where I am now. So you never know what is going on around campus that you could attend that could help you in some way. And also student organizations too. I was on the board for Information Systems Council of Majors. So being a part of that helped me to network with different students that were in my major, while also networking with professionals that came to our different events. So seeing each activity or opportunity as a way for you to network is definitely something that UMBC provided with me during my time.
Excellent, thank you. Next question is for Nana.
What are you most proud of from your UMBC experience, besides me?
Actually, the thing that I'm most proud of is actually graduating across that stage. And I know that's everybody's experience. Oh, I graduated, but it's a little different for me because my degree was not for me. As an African first generation, it wasn't for me. It was for my whole family. So me crossing that stage and being an example and a role model for all of my family. Because of me, my little cousins, and my brother, not the other one, but one of my brothers, we have degrees now. Because in my mother's village, no one had a degree. I was the first. So pretty much graduating from here. And then having all those obstacles prior to getting to that point, because it was rough for me. I was not prepared for college. So that was actually the biggest thing.
Same question actually I want to hear this from everyone, so we'll go down the line. Jeanette, what are you most proud of from your UMBC experience?
I'll actually say the bonds that I made, the friendships that we still have. We see each other enough. When you have kids and start your career, it's like, let's schedule a date to see each other. It might be 2 months from now, but we do it, and it's fun and it's wonderful. Anytime any of us are going through something in our life, we're able to reach out and lean on each other. And so if you have bonds that you've already created, and it might not be people that you knew in high school, because I had friends with some people from high school. I don't remember if any of them went to college with me. But the people that I met in college have been my friend for these 30 years now. And still continue.
Thank you. Casey, what are you most proud of from your UMBC experience?
Yeah, so I think it's also graduation, but maybe to put a little different spin on it, just showing up every day and continuing to show up. There were many times along the way where I thought, this is the semester, I'm just gonna flunk out of everything and that'll be it. Because it's scary, but you just keep pushing and keep pushing yourself and showing up, and I'm proud that I was able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a common theme, but graduating as well. When I actually was in another startup prior to what I'm doing today, and that was a really interesting time. It was really fun. It was really exciting. It was a whirlwind of activity. But I wasn't doing so hot in school. I was looking at what my next steps were going to be, and I had to contemplate again what to do next, whether to stop what I'm doing and move with the guys or stay in school. And ultimately I decided to stay, and I'm really glad I did, because now I have my degree in biochem and I'm still pursuing startups.
All right. So what are you most proud of from your UMBC experience?
Also, I'm also proud of graduating, but also taking advantage of different opportunities on campus, because I'm also an introvert, so I'm proud that I was able to push myself to go to different things and also explore other areas of interest. For example, do like my master's program in health IT. That was something I didn't think that I would do starting off in undergrad. But after being able to talk with different classmates and friends, pushing myself to be able to do that.
All right, thanks. And Frank, what are you most proud of from your UMBC experience?
I'm most proud of a lot of things. I would say, though, surviving essentially catastrophic failure is what I'm most proud of. I came here, what they call tabula rasa, clean slate. I had to humble myself, show up as a new person to build myself up again. And I remember sitting in class and Dr. LaBerge, this was early engineering, said, look to your left, look to your right. Neither of those people will be here by the end of your coursework. Here it turns out I was one of the people that got cooked. And I didn't know what to do. I'm halfway through my time here. I'm like, I have failed essentially. But I was able to pivot off of that failure point and turn it into a wild success. So I'm proud of that.
All Awesome. I hope all of you heard how they mentioned graduation, because that's actually a big deal. UMBC is not easy, and when you graduate, you complete all your requirements at UMBC, you should definitely be proud of yourselves because it is an accomplishment. All right, next question. We'll start with Nana. What advice do you have for students exploring majors and career options?
When you get into college, you're not gonna know exactly what you want. Or you might have an idea, oh, you know what, me, I thought when I was gonna do business. I'm a nurse. It's completely different. Because when I got here, I realized, okay, I failed economics. I don't think this is gonna be the field for me. And I was trying not to go into healthcare because my dad was like, oh, Nana, you need to go into healthcare. You need to be a nurse. I said, all Africans have to be nurses. I said, really? So I was kind of trying to dodge that, but that was my path. Okay, I was supposed to be a nurse. I love nursing. That's what I was supposed to do. So please, if you get into this 4 years, you might end up with a degree in psychology, a degree in, and I have a psychology degree, but you might end up doing something totally different from what the degree you have, and it's okay. Your path is guided by God. God will put you where you need to be. So don't worry about it. Don't think, oh, I failed. Maybe that failure is because you need to be somewhere else. Okay? So this 4 years, or 5, or 6, it's okay. As long as you get it, no one cares. Get your degree, and then figure out where you want to be. And once you learn that this is my passion and this is where I want to be, grow in that field. Like she said, learn about that field. Be an expert at that field. So people are coming to you and saying, oh, how do I do this? And they're looking at you as a leader, okay? So that's my advice.
Well said.
Jeanette, what advice do you have for students exploring majors and career options?
So I kind of gave that advice already for your actual career and your job, but I suggest you do it. You start it now. Look at opportunities here that are on campus that you can get involved in. Student government was what I did. I got involved in student government and it showed my leadership abilities. It also made me make friends and get out in public. But just don't be afraid to change your major. It's gonna happen. Both of my sons changed their majors 3 times as well, so I didn't mind either them changing theirs either. Each one of them started off doing one thing and realized that it wasn't their passion anymore, and that's okay. And I think probably every single one of us might have done the same thing. It's not a failure; it's a realization for you, and it's just the right path for you.
Casey, what advice do you have for students exploring majors and career options?
Yeah, I guess it's a similar theme. Don't let the fear of making the right decision hold you back from making any decision. Just go for it. And so whatever you choose, just go all in. And if you need to pivot, that is totally fine.
Love that. Excellent. What advice do you have for students exploring majors and career options?
I would say just try as many things as you can so that you can find what interests you. I think to Frank's point, persistence is really important if you're going to do anything. But you also should know, to the point before, like if you fail at something, it might be worth pivoting. But pivots are sort of a product of what you see as necessary as opposed to just something bad happening, right? Failure isn't necessarily determined by something bad, but just what you see as a signal, this is probably not the best step. So definitely just try as many things as possible. You're in a really safe space to do that. College really gives you a privilege, a license to try things. Hopefully you don't have too many responsibilities right now, and you can go out and maybe start a project with your professor, or go to a hackathon, or go on a hike or something, I don't know. But just explore things that can give you some exposure to who you are and what you want.
So, what advice do you have for students exploring majors and career options?
I would say that everything you explore or work on is valuable. Nothing you do is a wasted effort, and every whether it's a small task or something you're learning or want to explore, everything is valuable to you and where you end up in the future. So I wouldn't say to get so held up on one failure or something that doesn't work out, because whatever is meant for you will happen.
Awesome, thank you. And Frank, what advice do you have for students exploring majors and career options?
I want to pull on a thread that Nana started, and that is explore your passions. At work, we have a term called restless thinkers, and it's that stuff that like you can't stop thinking about. Something that like why do I keep thinking about this? Explore that. There might be a career in it for you. You never know if you don't look. UMBC provides so many different options for you academically that you can make whatever you want to do as your career. You can tailor a course load for that. So if there's something you're really passionate about, it's likely that if you do that for the rest of your life, you're going to be happy doing it. So don't let go or lose those passions. Rather, hold on to them, follow them, chase them, but be deliberate about it. Be reasonable about it. Don't throw away everything you've done or just because you want to or you really want to do something. Be reasonable. See if you can combine your passion with your life's work, whether it be academic right now or professional in the next stage. But try to do what you're passionate about.
All right, I have a question for the panelists that I didn't send you, so it's gonna be off the dome, all right? But sometimes we have students that wanna do something, but maybe you're scared. Does that ever happen? Like you wanna try something, you're a little scared. What advice would you have for our students that wanna try something new, but they're scared, like, oh, I'm gonna fail? All right, let's start with Nana.
Please, because I know there's a lot of generation, Z,
Yes,
whatever you are.
Z.
When it comes to something like that, go to someone who has actually done it. So let's say you want to go into a certain field, like what do you do?
Space technology development.
Okay, if you, it's good to know a lot of different people and network. So if you know he's in that field, don't say, okay, I want to do it, and then just look on Google and say, okay, well, Google says I need to do it this way. No, he has the insight on how to get a job, how to maneuver in the job. Just find someone. And if that person doesn't know, ask him, do you know someone that is in that field that I can talk to and have a word with? You'll get insight, and that way you'll learn how to get into a field or get into a new experience without, kind of being blindsided by what Google said. And so just try to find people that have done it, have walked the walk, okay?
Jeanette.
So just adding to that, I agree with her, and use the resources here at UMBC to find graduates that have been in a career path that you might be interested in. We as leaders love to mentor. I love it. I have lots of mentees that I meet with on a regular basis. Some that work with me, some that do not. I go to lunch with them or just have a phone call with them. And so that is something that you should do. Don't be scared to ask questions. They're not stupid questions, because I'm sure someone else has asked that same exact question, or the person that you asked might have asked it 20 years ago, and they'll be able to answer it for you. We've all made mistakes. We've all done stupid things. And so we learn from them. You can learn from us. And don't be scared to make a mistake. That's number one. It's okay. Trust me. You learn from those hills and valleys.
Casey.
Yeah, so
Advice.
talked a lot about doing things you're scared of. Sometimes the scary thing is just sending an email to someone to say, can you help me, or can we connect? That sometimes is the one scary thing that I'll do as an introvert, but I love that advice. I think reaching out and trying to grow your network and talk to people who've been there is just an awesome way to really maybe help your fears go away, but if not, reinforce and say, maybe this isn't the right path for me, I need to do something else.
For sure. I think information is everything. So like everyone else said, right here you have a lot of amazing resources at your disposal, and I can speak even for myself. Just the number of advisors that are available over at UW Tech that give me advice whenever I just drop into their office and just share ways that I can improve my marketing and my sales, or ways I can think through problems better. Whenever it comes to, even last week I had a conversation with a CEO of a company that's doing something very similar to us, and just the amount of information and knowledge they had to share was insane. It was just crazy to think we weren't looking at things from that particular perspective. So, I think that using your LinkedIn religiously, improving it, is probably a good place to start. And then doing that outreach, really leveraging your identity as a student, because people want to help students grow, because you guys will be the next generation of leaders. So if you can be the mentee that is mentored by someone and you end up doing something great, then they'll really appreciate that as much as you appreciate their help.
I would say to not be afraid to put yourself in any uncomfortable situation, because you never know what could come out of it. Even if you're scared to do something, you never know how that will impact your journey. Even doing something like this is like speaking in front of a lot of people is outside of my comfort zone, but I was able to hear from so many people here today and learn their insights. So there's always something to gain from every experience, even if you're scared of it. So I would say to take advantage of that.
This is probably like the wrong way to say it, but it's don't be afraid. Just don't be. You have no reason to be. And I'm saying that because I have been through it and I was there. I remember going to a career event, and they trotted in a couple alumni that worked at NASA, and I was like, wow, these people are great. They work at NASA. What? And here I am 5 years later doing it, and that's me. You can, no organization, no job, nothing is out of reach for any of you guys. It's not impenetrable. You can do whatever you want. You just have to want to do it, and then go ahead and chart your own course. Put yourself out there. Be your biggest advocate. Nobody will advocate for you like you. So sell yourself. Convince people that you are the right choice. You're the person for the job. And don't be afraid to do it. You will not gain anything from being afraid.
All right, we have one last question for the panelists, and then we'll open it up to the audience if you'd like to ask the panelists any questions. So the last question that I'd just like to hear from each of you is, what is it that you like so much about your job, and how do you think UMBC prepared you for it? So we'll start with you, Frank. What do you like the best about your job, and how do you feel like UMBC prepared you for it?
Okay. So what I like best about my job is that I have a window into the future. What I do at work is think ahead, 20, 25 years in the future. What will life be like for us? On planet Earth, off planet Earth. And thinking that way can be challenging. Had it not been for my experience here, and I was forced to think about myself and my future, what I wanted, and how I might get there. And I did a lot of that here. I mean, there's beautiful places to go sit all over campus and just think, the library. You don't have to do anything. Think, reflect about what you want to do. Think about your future and what you want it to look like and what you need from yourself, from your surroundings in order to get there. And being here helped me think in that aspect, and I still do it at work, albeit in a different light, but I would say thinking ahead.
And same question for you, Shito. What do you really like about your job, and how did UMBC prepare you?
I love the people at my job, firstly, and also I feel like my job helped me to be more curious. At Johns Hopkins Physics Laboratory, I work in IT, but the company does so much, and I learn so much about what everyone else is doing, and it's a diverse company, so I'm able to learn about different areas that people are working on, so I love that part about my job. And UMBC helped prepare me for it, because it helped me land my first internship, where I learned SharePoint, which is what I do now at APL, so it really set the foundation for the current job.
Yeah. I think similar to Frank, maybe That's so meta. Really being future focused and looking, around the corner, right? What I'm doing, I really have to look at trends and evaluate the economy at times just to make sure we're doing things at the right moment. And I think UMBC has definitely helped a lot just because the advisors and the individuals that share information to allow me to really look at things from a different perspective, and also just being able to have access to students like you guys. A number of students have interned at my startup, and I've learned a lot from them. Currently, there's one student, unfortunately he's not here today, but there's one student that's actually here that has taught me so much just from the past month that he's been here. So, just really grateful for the resources that UMBC provides, and also I think that's prepared me immensely for what I do with them.
Casey?
I have so many answers to this, but I think the one I'll pick is really similar to what you just mentioned, like working with you all, with students. So I'm one of the hats I wear as a section supervisor, and it's been great getting to know people who were maybe not in my generation removed from me, maybe two. But it was great getting to know people and being able to work with them and do group projects together, just to understand, I think, how everything's changed, how people think. So I really appreciated that opportunity. So yeah, that's my answer.
All right. Jeanette?
Why do I love my job? Every day I have the opportunity to change the health, improve the health of a Baltimore City resident. And that's why I love my job. My job involves a lot of operations of our clinical services. And so it is rewarding to be able to serve Baltimore City and the residents that live there. How did UMBC prepare me for it? Being able to just be included in different clubs, different groups, different events at UMBC, working in the student government again, just helped me impact some of the changes that you all are experiencing today. I didn't bring Chick-fil-A here, but I would have if it existed. But just getting involved, I think it really was my grassroots of being where I am today.
I love my job. Okay, and I originally, like I said, I'm a nurse. I was doing bedside nursing at labor and delivery. You all know what labor and delivery? The baby's coming out? Yes. So I thought I loved that job. This is my job. I'm supposed to be here. I'm an expert at it, blah, blah, blah. They used to, they call me the baby whisperer and everything. So I thought that was it, but no, that was just a step to what my true passion was. And that is being a professor of OB. So I actually teach OB. I teach what I love. And when I say I love it, I really love it, because just to look at a student nurse and say, oh, you know what, in 2 years, you are going to be my colleague. And you are the future of America. So I'm preparing these nurses to take care of all of us. And that is impactful. How did UMBC help me? Is my foundation. They taught me, and it's not school, they taught me how to be an adult, how to organize, how to network, how to be able to speak to different groups or different age groups. How, this school taught me just how to be an adult, and that carried over to being a nurse. So that's what UMBC did.
So if we could give our panelists a round of applause. If any of you in the audience have a question, this would be the opportunity or the time for you to ask a question. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Frank, you had mentioned that like halfway through your UMBC career, you had experienced like catastrophic failure. How did you pick yourself up from that, and how did you go forward without, just falling back with that fear of failure and just what if it happens again?
Frankly, it was encouragement by others that wasn't the end for me. it was difficult. If I didn't have the support from other people to follow through on what I wanted to do, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. So it is relying on other people for support when you need it. Dr. Barron was one of those people standing back there for me, who convinced me that there was a way to get to where I wanted to be. That path didn't exist to me, and even when he described it, it was unclear. But sure enough, I trusted him, and I trusted the school to help me to get where I wanted to go. And I could tell that this man, the school wanted me to be here. They don't want that to happen to people. And so I could feel that this place, not just Dr. Barron, teachers, professors, wanted me to succeed. I could feel that, and I wanted to succeed for this place and myself as well. I'm not saying it wasn't extremely difficult, it was. But it was relying on others to help pull me out of that hole that I was in, to help see what was on the other side, basically. But not gonna lie, it was extremely tough. You're gonna face challenges. Everybody does. How you deal with those challenges defines who you are after you're done dealing with them.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have two.
Okay, sure.
But another one for the whole panel. So I'm not gonna ask what the whole panel that come back to you.
Sure.
But what are some so we all make mistakes, right? What are some mistakes or things that you would have done differently, either at UMBC or in your professional career that you would have otherwise skipped or done to forward advance your career now?
I would have been more serious.
Hmm?
I would have been more serious now. Because if you see my transcript, there's only God that got me here, honestly. So I would have been more serious, honestly. And take advantage of the resources, because I don't think I took full advantage of the resources that were here. Like right now, like my son is right there. I'm always like, if you don't understand something, go to the tutoring center, go to the professor, go to the TA. So I'm really a component on use the resources, because universities, it doesn't look good if you fail out. It doesn't look good on them. So they want you to graduate. Yeah.
It's for the rest of the candidates as well.
I don't know. Undergrad was really, really hard for me. Yes, I had a lot of good friends, and I is the rat?
No. You're never gonna mention it. You're never gonna mention it, okay? It never happened, sorry.
Forget it. Okay. We did a lot, but I did actually work full time while I was full time at school as well, and it was a struggle for me. And I think it made me a stronger person. But if I could change anything, I would figure out how not to have to do that. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think there was a, and I still have it, so can't say that I've gotten over it, but there's this natural tendency, like when opportunities present themselves, to think, oh, there's someone else who's obviously more qualified for this than I am. And sometimes I think that can get in your way. So, putting yourself forward, going for the job interview, applying for that job that you don't think you're gonna get, it might surprise you, or it might, the worst that can happen is it turns out the way it is in your mind, which is you're not gonna get it, right? So I think it was just, as my career progressed, I think I missed some opportunities, not putting my hand up and not stepping forward. Trying to learn from that, hopefully have learned from that.
I would say that in college, maybe not a mistake, but something I wish I did differently was after starting Zeddy, I would have done more pitch competitions. I think that you really need a well of resources when you're building a startup, and unless you have a network of family and friends that can just pour into your ideas, you really do need to have a war chest when you're out of school. So as a student, you have a really strong privilege to go to multiple universities, pitch your ideas there. And I know at College Park they have the 15-minute event that you can do after you do your home institution's pitch competition. And I did the pitch competition here, and it does have a couple $1,000s here. But after you do that, you can go on to other places. There's Short Hatchery, and those give out like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So you could really build up a solid amount of resources that you can then use to grow out your idea and scale afterwards.
Yes, I have two things that came to mind that I would have done differently. One is that I would take more advantage of on-campus events. I was a commuter, so I was often tempted to skip certain events and just go home and do homework. But there's something nice about like attending those on-campus events. For example, I think it's called the hackathon. That was something I always saw being advertised, but I never like took the chance to do it. So that's something that I would have done differently. And then I would say to see each class as a real life application, like the classes for your major, to see it beyond, just trying to pass the class or like the day-to-day learning, but think of it as something that you can actually really apply in your future career.
Yeah, and I'll add to that a lot of what people already said. Yes, it's fun to be in college and in school. No, it's not fun to do homework or all that stuff. This is an in-between point for you, essentially, between whatever you're doing before and the rest of your life. College, your time here will end. And real life essentially starts as soon as you get home from graduation. You have to be prepared for that and think about that. So don't get lost in being here, because it can be fun and exhilarating and you're just going to class and talking to people, having a good time. What comes after is quite serious and you have to be prepared for it. So I don't want to frighten you or anything like that, but just keep that in the back of your mind that you're preparing yourself to be in the place that you want to be for the rest of your life, potentially, right after you're done here. So just remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind.
You had another question?
Yeah, it was more about like the job in general.
Mm-hmm.
You said that if you have a particular idea and you want to get that funded, send it, right? What happens if their project just fails ultimately? What goes after? What's the process?
We see failure as a good thing where I work. My mom used to always say, like, I don't want to misquote her, but basically, we won't know if we don't ask or look into it. So if somebody proposes an idea to us that seems crazy, but maybe there's a kernel of credibility in there, we'll explore it. It's worth it, if we think it's worth it. If we think something's crazy, which we get a lot of it, trust me. You saw me in my tinfoil hat in my presentation. We get a lot of that. It might have a huge impact. Just because it might not work at first glance doesn't mean it might not work in the future. Finding out something doesn't work is considered a success in my program.
Any other questions for our panelists? Yes, Emmanuel.
Yeah, hello, my name is Emmanuel, like she said, and I wanted to ask, like, it's just the whole panel. With UMBC, like, I know that they have like a lot of resources that they give, but I feel like it could get a little bit overwhelming at a point, and it's hard to actually navigate like which resources are going to be useful for me. So I wanted to ask, like, how would you guys advise I navigate that in order to make the most of my time?
I'd say try the resource once, and if it doesn't, move on to something else. I do recall using, and I don't remember what any of them were called, it's been 30 years, but creative writing or
The writing center.
the writing center.
Yeah.
I use that, a lot of study groups for cell biology. So yeah, just try it once, and if it doesn't mesh with what you need, then move on.
I think it depends on like what you want. For example, if you're looking for exposure to companies, there'll be a resource for that. If you're looking for how to interview better, there'll be a resource for that. But just ask your specific question, and you'll get a specific answer, hopefully. But it all depends on what you want. So make sure that when you're exploring the resources and options to you, you pick the one that you think is really what you want, not one that seems like, oh, maybe that's kind of what I want. Trust me, what you are looking for is here. You just got to know. So it is difficult, where to look. But the Career Center was really helpful to me. academic advising was incredibly important, and I consider those two things distinctly different. Academics, and then you have your career. They're both obviously related and run in parallel, and one leads into another. But those are two groups of resources that were really, really valuable. So you're doing even being here says to me you're interested and invested in finding out more. Continue that. Pull on that thread. Keep exploring. Keep looking. Don't get discouraged.
Thanks.
I would just say use your, sort of like Frank said, use your interest as the North Star. So I would probably prioritize things based on what's most important to me at the moment, and then tap into the departments with those resources.
And you had a question in that one.
I did. You all kind of touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to ask a little bit more in depth. Anyone can answer, you can. But at what point, whether in your academics or in your actual career, did you feel that you had made it, or your sense of fulfillment?
2 years ago. I mean, that's when I changed careers from bedside to working at Towson. And the next semester, so the way it works is, you have students, and the students that I was teaching the next year, I went to their graduation to see them cross the stage. And I was like, yeah, I was supposed to be here. This is my passion. This is it. And then when they send you a picture, because we have to pass the NCLEX to make sure that you're a nurse. When they send a picture saying pass, that's everything to me. So, because I know I was part of that journey, and I'm supposed to be here, and that's when I knew that this is where I'm supposed to be. This is my passion. This is it.
I'll say, and I'm not bragging when I say this, but I'm really good at my job. And I think, I don't remember when this started, but I probably get at least 2 or 3 emails a week asking for me to come interview somewhere for a position, for a higher level position. I'm content where I am. I actually love what I do, and I don't necessarily want to lose the work-life balance that I have and get higher level positions than I am right now. But it's a good feeling to be able to have options like that. But it's also it's a great feeling when I get asked to come and do talks. I do talks for healthcare operations at several different high-level organizations. I sit on boards. I get asked to be on boards. So it was a wow moment, probably, I don't know, 8 years ago. I love it.
I'll say I really like what I do. I still don't feel like I've made it, right? And I don't know if I ever will. No matter what job I've had, I find something I really enjoy in it. And I feel like I'm good at a lot of the things that I do. I mean, nobody likes to feel like they're not good, right? So you keep working on that. But it might just be in my nature that once I feel like I'm good, I'm ready to move on to something else. So maybe I'll never find that. But I haven't found it yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a tough question for me to answer. I think the way that I would answer it is, I appreciate where I'm at. I get opportunities to speak to you guys, and it's extremely humbling because I don't know if I've done enough yet to have that opportunity. But I think things like that, they affirm that I'm doing something right to some degree. And as I go through this process and I learn more from other people, I just hope that what I provide is valuable. So, I think that making it may be synonymous with being able to impart some form of knowledge.
Yeah, kind of going off of that too. I would say I'm content with my job right now, and I think graduating with my master's was one of those moments where I felt like that too. But I also at the same time feel like I haven't had that moment where I made it yet. It's like I want to keep learning more and exploring more. So I don't know at what stage I will say that, but I'm content where I am.
I appreciate being on this end of the table. It gives me time to think. And in that time, I thought of 3 instances. I get them. It happens to me all the time, almost every day, to be honest with you. One instance is being here, being invited to speak here. This is a huge honor. Like I said, I remember seeing a panel with people that worked at NASA, and I was like, that's absolutely wild. Wow, how so cool for them. And then in a flash of an eye, I'm in the same seat as they were. And then two really concrete examples. One was the first day of work where my coworker Kathy asked me to email a bunch of people. And I was nervous. I'm like, oh, I could just like email like all these people, cold call. And she says to me, she's like, Frank, your email says nasa.gov at the end of it. There's another email. And I was like, that's a good point. Like that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing to have. So I can email anybody I want, they're gonna answer. But another really cool moment was a couple of years ago down at Johnson Space Center, which is where the human spaceflight program is based out of. All the astronauts are there. We went down there and we were welcomed by Mission Control Center, which is where they run all the human missions out of. That room that you see, and they had our program logo, center director, and some of the astronauts were there to greet us. And I was like, why do I deserve this greeting, like at all? But it's because they value us and vice versa. And that was one of those moments where I was like, wow, I'm really in here.
Any other questions for our panelists? Yes.
I guess this could be for anybody, but my question was like, how do you maintain motivation when things get difficult, or like when you put in effort but don't get the results that you were hoping for? Like, how do you stay motivated after facing disappointment, I guess?
I'll say something, and that is to not be time limited, not be afraid that you don't have enough time. So everybody's schedule is different. Their life schedule is, things happen in people's lives that send them in all different directions, and they might arrive at the same place, but at different times. So it's important to extract yourself from like time and space in the sense that take some time to like think and reflect about things that are happening to you. And often you'll find that you will find solace in yourself. Like I said, sometimes it really is just you. Of course, it's important to lean on like the support of friends and family, but you have to be your own support system sometimes. Yes, there's a lot around here, so that's not the case. It doesn't have to be the case. It shouldn't be the case, but have some confidence in yourself, right? No matter who you are, what you want to do, what you're doing, what you've been, you're worth something. Your experiences, those failures, are worth something. Learn from those failures. Analyze how you got there, what went wrong when you got there, and what to do next. Because sometimes, or more often than not, what to do next is not nothing. Use those experiences to help influence your next choices and the decision making that comes next. Like I said earlier, learning that something doesn't work is considered a success. So when something doesn't work, that's a success. It's a different way of thinking. Often that means, oh, that didn't work. It's bad. If something didn't work out, made a mistake, that is a data point. That is a learning experience. And the more of those you have, the better off you'll be in life.
I'll say what motivates me is simply put, and probably I'll sum up what he just said: the wins, the losses, and the pivots. So literally yesterday, last night on the way home from work, I texted one of my friends groups and I said I had a big win today, and I did. I had a pretty good day yesterday at work. Something pretty exciting happened with one of the projects that I'm working on. But then more days than not, I have losses, and those are really frustrating. I don't text the friend group on that one, but and it brings you down. But then the next day, it's like, okay, I got to figure out how I need to pivot on that thing that I had a loss on, and I think that's really what motivates me the most. And all of those things that I just named, I find fun, because I then get to stay up until midnight trying to think of a different way to work on the issue. And it's a challenge, but I love challenges. I'm huge with competition. and I'm competing against myself on how to do better all the time.
Yeah, I want to pull on something you just said because I think for me, one of the things has been to use that setback as a motivator to come up with a plan. So sometimes I've been in situations where I feel like I've done everything right and something external has happened and, sort of derails my plan, right? And then there's sometimes where it's something that you can control and you can fix. And being able to say like, hey, life happens, this is just where we are, what am I gonna do with it? Versus, okay, this is something in my control, what am I gonna do to deal with it? That distinction has helped me because it makes me realize like this is something in my control that I can buckle down on versus it's something I have to come up with a whole new plan for. And to realize like it wasn't me, like it wasn't I've done everything I can to be a success, that's fine. I just need to do something different. That has been helpful. But then coming up with a plan and then being motivated to execute that plan has helped me.
I'll add one thing as well. I think everyone here stated like the exact thing, right? Like I think when you're dealing with something that requires a lot of motivation at times, I don't know if motivation's necessarily the right way to look at it. I think almost looking at life as continuous improvement, where even for the wins, you look at that as, okay, what went well, what didn't go so well, what did I expect to do, what did I not actually do? Funny enough, I had a win last night as well. And, I was, after it, I feel like I have to get better at this with my team, just like becoming more congratulatory. But I think the first thing I thought was, okay, like what can we improve on, right? Like what didn't go so well, how can we be tighter in our delivery? I think that might be a good thing to a degree. I don't like to get too high off the highs or too low off of the lows. And it keeps me measured and it lets us move forward when we really have strong, big goals in the near future. So if we don't hit what we're aiming to hit, we just have to pivot. And we have to look at each, no matter if it was good or bad, each thing with a lens of improvement.
And kind of going off of that too, I would say that that just becomes part of your own like unique journey. So whenever I meet someone successful, they've never had like a straightforward, always successful story. Everyone has like the ups and downs, but that's what makes it unique to you. So, and I would say to you, like everyone here said, it's just like a learning experience at the end of the day. So, using that for your own journey, I feel is what can motivate you.
Any other questions for our panelists? Well, again, we want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day